Hey, it's a first. Welcome to the RJ Chapman Show. I like the ring of that.
It sounds good.
We're going to change it all to the RJ Chapman Show.
Let's do it.
Well, today we're going to do an interview with a great guy. This guy's name is David Rayner. David, thanks for coming on the show.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, you're the very first one.
Yeah.
Gosh dang it. Who knows where it's going to go? Listen, hey David, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I grew up here in Camden County.
Nice.
My mom and dad had choices that I could be born in Jacksonville, St. Mary's, or Folkestone. So what did they do? They went as far away they could and had me on the banks of the Okefenokee Swamp in Folkestone. So,
awesome. I love Folkestone.
But what that did is I am a Georgia native at least, and very passionate about and glad to be back here. I grew up here, elementary school, of course. My dad became the school superintendent before my brother and I started first grade.
And by the way, you did a great job at his funeral. I'm sorry about that.
Well, okay. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you did a great job, David. He'd be very proud.
It was great to be back here for the last 4 years of his life.
Oh, that is nice.
It was an honor to be around him and help him and Mom for the last 4 years. So thank you so much.
So you're a graduate of Camden County High?
Graduate of Camden County High. But having a dad as school superintendent was pretty tough because if you don't do well in school, they look at you funny, like you're embarrassing your dad. If you do well in school, then you're the teacher's pet. They got to give you good grades.
It's a lose-lose.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh! And then you went to the University of Georgia.
I go to Georgia.
Hey, did you meet Herschel Walker?
I actually did.
You're kidding me.
So Herschel was, he was not in any classes, but it was contemporary at that time, early 80s when I was in college. And
82,
I got him to scratch his name down on some kind of receipt I had in my wallet.
That's better than I got.
But when I went to college, I didn't know what an engineer was. Nobody ever came back to our school and said, here's how to work at NASA or how to get in the space program.
Oh, so you were interested in NASA.
But I was like that at an early age, and you're probably contemporary with me in that when we were little kids, we saw the moon landing.
We saw man on the moon.
Right. So.
And I remember, I got to tell you mine real quick.
Yeah.
I was coming home, and our babysitter, she says, hey, you guys got to come in. You got to see man on the moon. Here's Walter Cronkite. Remember that? Takes his glasses off. Man's on the moon. I'm like, oh my gosh.
A little teary-eyed.
I was teary-eyed too.
Yeah.
But she had the big screen. She had the 18-inch tube.
Oh, yeah.
So we were all over there watching that bad boy.
Yeah.
What's going on with you?
Yeah. Well, it was late at night. And we, should have been in bed, but we were wanting to stay up, and they kept delaying, him coming out of the hatch. They had landed. And finally, I'm pretty sure it was past 11 Eastern time.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's Walter Cronkite getting emotional. The old... the script on the bottom, man on the moon,
that's right.
flashing in white letters.
And the flag. They finally got the flag up.
Right.
So that gave you the bug.
Yeah, so that was a passion. Yeah, that was something early on that inspired me. But I didn't know how to get there. So I'm at college. I barely know what an engineer is. I do take pre-engineering courses in order to. The goal there would be to finish up at Georgia 4 years pre-engineering and then specialize in something at Tech. And then you'll have a bachelor and a master's degree in 6 years. And so...
You didn't go to Georgia Tech,
I didn't make it, but I took computer courses. And, one led to the other because of a roommate that said, hey, try this. So I'm taking these courses. I get to my senior year. My mom wanting her son to stay close to home. Right. And this is before cell phones or internet. So she snail mails me a clipping out of the Florida Times Union, and it had about companies in hiring in Jacksonville. And so
hiring for NASA?
I couldn't go look on my phone the company or check the laptop.
Check your laptop.
I had to go to the business office at the college and get some ladies to help me research. And they said, well, they're here, there, and they're at Kennedy Space Center. Okay.
Oh, now you got it.
So I write the one in Jacksonville.
Right.
At my mom's request. I really did. I wrote the one at Kennedy Space Center. I never heard from the one in Jacksonville. The one at Kennedy Space Center said, "Hey, on your spring break, come down and we'll show you around."
Now, this is the one where you went to visit this thing that did this, and this thing that did this, and this thing, and then they asked you, I thought this was the greatest question, hey, where do you want to work?
Yeah, so I initially hired in with the contractors. So a contractor will hire you as a computer programmer, let's say, or a scheduler. They want you to do that specific job for the length of that contract. And oh, by the way, after 18 months, that contract may go away. Lockheed won't go away, and Boeing's not going away, but that specific contract, thank you for your help, David. And
so you get into the federal government.
So I had by that time, I made friends with NASA. We had the Challenger accident, which what that did, that was a horrible day. It was very cold, and we never should have launched. And the people at the Thiokol Corporation that manufactured the solid rocket boosters were calling from Utah to the launch control saying, "Do not launch."
At O-ring.
And that these temperatures are too low. The management chain was broken, and we launched anyway. Well, what NASA decided from that was they said, "We've lost control of this.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
We've turned too much over to the contractor. They're doing too much, and the contractor wants to meet the schedule and get paid for their."
And if they go early,
they get
more money. Yeah.
So
they changed.
My friend said, "Come over and talk to our boss." That was way back before you had to do a web online resume, and it had to go through computer software to even determine if you're eligible to apply. So I talked to the boss, and I got an offer. I went to NASA. Now the different, like what you're alluding to, the differences. So with NASA, they want the employee to be happy and challenged and resourceful and of value. So, and to do that, they feel like if you're in a position and you're working and you see this other organization over here that you're working with, inquire. Go talk to those people, and if their boss says, "Hey, come over on a detailed work assignment," you can go over for 6 months. It depends on 4 months, 6 months, a year. You go on this detailed work assignment. They're trying you out. You're trying the job out, but they're trying you out really to make sure you're a good fit. And if you're a good fit, they'll work something with your home organization to transfer you to that.
It reminds me, and I just did a little thing the other day, a real quick little TikTok, and we've talked about this earlier, how when you get in there to the new job and you get two people that love what you're doing and your thoughts, and you let them run with it because they're comfortable there.
Right.
And guess what? They do great things when they get to do what they want to do and enjoy doing it.
Right.
So I think that's really a great thing how NASA does that.
A happy, inspired employee, it's
productive,
not work anymore.
Right.
It's fun.
That's good.
And so I'm going to try to fast forward the tape on this and the jobs I did. I started out as a NASA operations engineer. I'd be at a seat like this with a desk in front of me and the computer there. Behind me was the Space Shuttle Atlantis.
So when we see it on TV, everybody's at those things. You're one of them consoles.
Yeah, I was at a console.
Wow.
Now, as an operations engineer, my job was to be around that vehicle all day, in it, out of it, talking to people, and then reporting back to the guys and gals that are in that control room with the headsets on, because they're the NASA test directors running the processes from the control room. I'm out on the floor. I would eventually I would become one of those NASA test directors, but the circuitous way that I did that, I left the NASA operations vehicle side with Atlantis back here. I went to the payload side of the house.
Right.
Payload side was everything that goes inside the cargo bay. It could be the Hubble Space Telescope. It could be a probe to the Galileo probe to Jupiter. Whatever goes in there, it was pieces of the. There was a docking module. I worked with 88 Russians, and we took something up on the shuttle that attached to their Mir space station.
What'd you take up there, Dave?
It was the docking module,
Okay. Yeah.
but
But then after the ops, the payload stuff, what is
So-
NDT, non-destructive test?
well,
What is that?
the NTD was the NASA test director. So
Okay.
from payload operations and working that, I also got to know a lot about the experiments that go on board, and that's the whole reason any company goes into space. The only a company desires to go into space because it can make a product that is unique. That is made in the zero G environment. That if you're here on Earth and you pour pancake batter, we like to go to IHOP.
Yes, we do, Dave.
If we pour the pancake batter on the table, it flattens out.
Right.
And if you pour it in the zero gravity space, it'll form something the size of a basketball.
No
If
kidding.
you grow a crystal on Earth that you see it and it's the size of a grain of salt, in space it's 6 times bigger. So now it's bigger than a BB. Well, what's the significance of that?
I don't know.
The significance of that is that you take the crystal that was in space, you look at it under an electron microscope here on Earth.
Yep.
Because once it grows in space to that 6 times size, that BB size, it's fixed. It will not compress. It stays big. You bring it back. You look at it. The scientists look at it with all their instrumentation, their electron microscopes. That when they look at that original crystal, that's a grain of salt.
Yeah.
It's like your old TV from the 80s.
Oh, I see.
If you look at the bigger crystal, now it's like suddenly you have high definition TV and you can see every grain of grass on the football field.
That's a great
Now,
analogy.
it's only because what you're looking at is now 6 times bigger. But
That
the
makes such
instruments,
good sense.
it's like the instruments got real powerful. All right, so then the scientists say, oh, okay, I see what's going on there. And there are hundreds of thousands of protein crystals in the human body. Each one of those protein crystals can turn on a disease like muscular dystrophy, influenza, AIDS, diabetes. So these protein crystals, when they grow them, they're able to see how it's structured, and they design other molecules to attach to it and turn it off.
Well, I'm glad you're telling us all that because, I'm always saying to myself, what are they doing up there?
Yeah.
You never know
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Right.
You try to look up what they're doing. Oh, we're growing a plant.
Yeah.
We're doing this.
Yeah.
But now it all makes really good sense.
And NASA as a federal entity cannot advertise. The only federal agencies, entities that can advertise are Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, the old commercial. And and they had the cars at NASCAR, the Army car at NASCAR.
Yeah.
Only within the last 20 years has NASA even been able to put a sticker on a NASCAR. And what they did for NASCAR is the thermal blankets that are on the shuttle. They keep the heat and the crew protected. NASCAR got a hold of that, and they can wrap their cabin around.
Well, that's a real problem in NASCAR is the air conditioning, so I can understand that
the
helping.
heat coming off of
Yeah. So then you went, you were involved with a couple things. I know the Columbia accident, we talked about that.
Columbia. I came back from payload ops. I did the test director. And as a NASA test director is not something you apply for.
I bet.
And you're just there working it. You go through a stand board process. So for 6 months, you train with a mentor. You're consistently talking scenarios of it's third shift. It's 12:30 at night. You get an
This
alarm
light goes
in the crew
on.
module. What do you do?
Oh, gosh.
And it's 6 months of that.
Oh,
And
my
so
gosh.
After classes, verbal talking, you go through a stand board. And the stand board itself is, you might be scheduled 8 o'clock in the morning, and it'll probably go 4 hours, or they took it easy. It could be a 6 or all day, one shift effort, and they grill you on these topics.
God.
So then they go out of the room and they vote and they come back. These are your peers and your bosses, and they come back in and they give you like the thumbs up or thumbs down on whether you pass.
Did you
If
pass,
don't
Dave? Did you pass?
I passed.
Okay.
I've seen fellas that had to go do some remedial work. And it's a scary thing. So I became a NASA test director. They worked the shuttle vehicles and the launches. There's about 18 or 20 of those for the shuttle. There was another side of that house called the NASA Convoy Commander. I wanted to be a NASA Convoy Commander. I'm a pilot, small plane, a private pilot's license. Yeah, I flew into St. Mary's Airport back in the day, and the Fernandina Beach and St. Simons. Anyway, so, but the NASA Convoy Commander is the landing side. The NTD, NASA Test Director, is the launch side. NASA Convoy Commander I wanted to do for landing. Now, I said there were 18 to 20 NASA Test Directors. The NASA Convoy Commanders were about 5 people. And so I had to fight a little harder. Somebody may have had to leave to go to something bigger or better or somewhere else.
Right.
And an opening came in, and I pushed for it and begged and pleaded and finally got a chance to do that. Well, I had to go through the sandboarding process.
Oh, gosh.
But
does the thing ever end?
But what that did, that was one of the most fun things I've ever done.
Good.
Because it was landing of, in the height of the shuttle program, you had 26,000 people working at Kennedy Space Center that were contractors. Okay, then you had 2,300 NASA people. So our NASA family was a lot smaller. So then as a NASA Convoy Commander running the operation at the runway, getting the crew off and the vehicle safe, was something that very few NASA people got to interact with the crew like that. I would do a briefing to 450 people an hour before landing. I'd tell them I've just talked to Houston, and they've said that the shuttle Endeavour is going to burn its deorbit over Hawaii, and it will be here on the ground in 57 minutes. Dang. I tell them that it's coming in on runway 33. So it comes in, and we line up the convoy. We have a group of vehicles that go to the forward end of the runway,
right,
come up the back, and then we have a midfield site that comes out. And I do a comm check with the commander to make sure that there's no fire aboard. Because I could be sending the safety assessment team out as an emergency occurs, and he's about to blow the hatch and take out people.
Well, how long did you work at NASA?
30 years. I got 31 years credit with NASA, and retired at the end of 2019. When 2019 rolled around, I thought I would stay for 3 more years or so. When we started weighing things, my dad's health, my parents and stuff, I had a friend that was a couple of salary grades and below, and he retired, moved to Alabama, bought 64 acres on a farm, and was loving life.
Nice.
And I thought,
he said, that looks decent.
That looks pretty good. So
you came back to Camden.
So I came back. I came back home. I got to have 4 wonderful years of my dad's life left.
Yeah. But you have all this huge background in the space, NASA, and you're here, and what you going to do next?
Well, over those years, every year I came, because of my dad as superintendent of schools, every year I came back to the local schools. I have been in almost, now there's probably a couple of elementary schools that were built that I haven't had the opportunity to go to. But I would go to elementary schools, the middle schools, and like the St. Mary's Middle School, I participated in their robotics over on a competition on Waycross. But I would come here and I would talk to and motivate kids. Now, one of the best ones was a year ago at Kingsland Elementary, and it was called Dare to Dream. And they had Kings Bay folks out. They had the boat, the small inflatable type boats. And
that's the Coast Guard.
They had a Coast Guard helicopter land. I was in the gym with some NASA stuff. Nice. It was to motivate those kids like that and walk them through different areas. And my whole thing is just, I just try to tell them not to give up. Any point in my career, moving around, I could have given up, and I mean, you know, I tell them that like a new person starting out in their career, my advice is to them when things are really good, really soak that in and enjoy it, because all it could take is the change of a leader, in a place that suddenly doesn't feel it, like you know.
Well, in the work,
you're trying to prove yourself all over again.
Isn't it great working with kids? I mean, they just want to be told they're going to be okay, and you know. But now we got to get to the end here. What are we doing here now?
Okay.
Because we're running out of time. We need to hear about the big program.
Okay. All right. So I came back. The goal was to get close to mom and dad. My dad passed away in December, so I was very honored to do his eulogy. Yeah. And you know, to do that, to stand up there and do that, you know, I made sure I didn't look at my mom. I looked out at
I can't believe you didn't cry, because I was sitting there crying. So you did good. Sheepers.
Well, but it was an honor to send him off that way. Right. And one of the things that the school system did for us, one of his proudest things he did in his career was to get school buses that had white tops, roofs to them, because of the difference in temperature on the inside of that cylinder.
And there was a bus at the funeral.
Bus right there outside.
Beautiful.
The school superintendent had a bus delivered and parked right outside the door. Folks wondered, is the casket going into the bus?
Oh no, I didn't even think that.
But anyway, so anyway, I'm back. I came back. I plugged into civic organizations, into charities. So I'm on some boards, and
still not enough for you, David.
And got involved.
Still not enough for you.
Okay, so back in September, my wife and I prayerfully considered: is there something we should do governmental-wise? My wife is from Brazil, and she experienced socialism firsthand in Brazil. Okay, and the change of their leader, Lula, was a scoundrel and a crook, and then he went to their prison. Bolsonaro was a Trump-like figure for Brazil, and they were doing very well. And now they're trying to put Bolsonaro in jail, and Lula is back out of jail, and he's the president. But so she came here, she became a citizen. She loves history. She loves George Washington. She loves Abraham Lincoln. You know, and we've been to Washington D.C. But a year ago we were in D.C. and stuff, and we're talking about we should get involved. We can't just sit on the sideline and do nothing while the legacy that my dad in the school system, making it some of the best schools in the state. We couldn't sit by while folks that want to whine and pick and criticize everything, try to tear the county apart.
So you're throwing your hat in the ring.
Well, yeah, and it's not about the schools. The schools are still excellent, but I felt like you know, like I said, we prayerfully considered, should it be something in the county, city council? We're not in a city, you know, we're in the county. So there was only a few things, and we agreed separately and then talked together that we should run for the state house. So that's what we're doing.
Oh my gosh! Are you? Oh, he's got a sign.
And I want you to have one of the first signs.
I'll proudly display it on my grounds. Thank you, David.
Now,
wow. Hey, don't believe with that.
There are folks that say that I'm late and I'm behind, and that these other folks have been working for months, and I'm behind. What I learned at NASA is you don't want to peak too soon.
Right.
You want to do the work and you have it ready, but when it's time to go, you want to go.
Well, we got something coming up.
We do. We have early voting's coming up April 28th.
April 28th.
So it's Monday, April 29th. Monday, April 29th. Monday, there's early voting.
Okay.
The actual general primary is Tuesday, May the 21st.
That's right around the corner.
So it's coming up. It's less than 60 days. It's less than 55 days.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on it. But What we've done is we worked behind the scenes, and we built a team that is ready, and these signs are hot off the press. They just came in yesterday, so I haven't even given any out. My mom's got one.
So I'm number 2.
So you're number 2.
Second banana.
But yeah, but we hope to be a force for our slogan is Turn 180 GA. And what that's about is this is District 180 for the State House of Representatives.
Okay.
Turn 180 means you're going in one direction, turn 180 degrees, like on the runway. Instead of going runway 33, I'm going to go runway 15, 180 degrees.
Nice.
We've been going on a course that is on the meek and mild. We need to turn things around and make it magnificent. This county has a lot of natural resources. I'm big on natural resources, but I'll say that if our business plan here in this district is to clear cut pine forest and build apartment buildings with no industry and no jobs, then
they're going up crazy.
What's going to happen is you'll have all those. There is a prediction that 90,000 more people could be in this district in the next couple years with all this building going on. If that occurs, all those people need fire and rescue. They need police. They need infrastructure and water and electricity. Who's going to pay for all this? But if they pay taxes where they live.
Sure.
But they're going to work in Yulee, and they're going to work in Jacksonville, and they're going to work in Brunswick.
And
those are the big companies that are there in those places that are paying big taxes.
We don't have a whole lot of industry.
No.
Well,
I love the base, and the base is great, and the base is, there's people that will tell you that we have the base, what do we need? The base is behind their fence, and the base takes care of their own, and they do a good job, and they're there for a reason. But if we're going to have tens of thousands of more residents, they need jobs right here instead of going to Jacksonville.
Well, Dave, hey, it's been great having you. I enjoy IHOP every Thursday after our gig, and I'm really excited for what you're doing. How do people learn more about you or understand the campaign?
So the campaign is for all people. We represent a lot of people, and diversity and for all are our slogans, and we the people. We like to say we the people. So it's turn180ga.com, and there's a way to participate. If you want a sign, you can sign up. If you want to wave a sign, come on out and stand with me, and we'll wave a sign.
I like waving signs.
Chick-fil-A.
I like sandwich signs. I get one on the front, one on the back. Well, it's been a pleasure having you, and I'm so glad you came and stopped by the new studio and brought all that information. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, David. It was great.
Thank you.